Hello, good morning, you guys, and welcome to Real Talk with Tamara. As you guys come into the room, please do hit the like button. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. I hope that you guys are doing okay on this morning. I know that I am. I always express the importance of hitting the like button because the like button helps to keep the video in the algorithm. So make sure you guys please like, share, subscribe, comment, all of those great things, okay? It is 6:38 in the morning, okay? And y'all know I be up with the chickens and all of that. Because I have to get up and work, but I was looking at the news, when I got up. I've been up since 5 something. And I see that Dr. Fagans, Marie Fagans, is a young lady who was the school board superintendent that was fired, right? The elections are coming up next year, especially in the Memphis area, the Shelby County elections, and you'll have positions for school board, you'll have positions for Shelby County mayor, um, and other positions. Okay, I believe court clerk positions are coming open. All of those positions, right? And um, I've always said that, I mean, within the last year or so, there has been a lot of craziness going on. And one thing that we noticed is that there were a lot of people that was elected to the school board that probably should not have been, right? They were able to sneak in because I think in our community, if we feel like it does not pertain to me, okay, all my kids are grown, child, I ain't got nothing to do with that. We don't vote, but I think we should vote to exercise our rights that was fought for. People shed blood for that. Just vote, okay? This is how I would say our city and county, or any city and county, get taken seriously, right? I think people have taken advantage of that. They put things into the atmosphere. I think there are a lot of things put in place to ensure that Black people don't vote. Okay, so they'll get people like interns to, and I know this for a fact, to get on the internet and spread a narrative. Well, I'm Black, and so I'm not gonna vote because my vote don't count anyway. They cheat. That's the energy that they want to spread so that you will be unmotivated to vote. Every vote counts, and it is very imperative that we get out and exercise our votes. Now, Memphis is a chocolate city, okay? And here's the thing, if you live in the city and in the county, you can vote. A lot of people don't know that. If you live in the city of Memphis, the city of Memphis sits in Shelby County, you can vote in the county's race. If you live in the county, I don't think you can vote in the city's race, but if you live in the city of Memphis, you can vote in the county's race. So a lot of people are confused about that. So everybody within Memphis and Shelby County can vote in the county's race. It's good to go and get registered because this last presidential race, if you did not vote, they removed your name from the voting list. Okay. So it is good to go to the election commission to get your name put back on the list so that you can exercise your votes. Um, that would be a good thing to do, right? But what is holding Black people back? And this will go for any state. I think it is voting based on name recognition, um, and race. Okay, name recognition and race. And I say that because we have a lot of Black people, a lot of Black politicians that is in office in the city of Memphis and the county of Shelby. And a lot of the things that have happened to the Black community has been by way of a lot of Blacks selling out. And so that's why I say it cannot be a popularity contest, because when people start getting a lot of money and they start, they're able to buy more advertisement, they're able to be on TV more, they're able to be more visible. But who is funding that? Who is funding that for them? Like, because surely you got to know, if people are is giving your campaign a whole lot of money, it's got to be because they have an interest. People don't just give away money for nothing. There's definitely an interest. That's why I said we have to start um definitely what's the word that I'm looking for? Um Vetting and supporting those persons that's going to help our community, right? It can't be based on what pastors they do. You know, what pastors say vote for him, because, you know, we don't know if pastor has gotten his hand greased, his palms greased behind the scene. It has to be based on you vetting the person, knowing, and it could be a good person, but do they have the capabilities of getting in there and doing what is necessary? It can't be a popularity contest either, you know. Oh, well, you know, this person, hey, they was at every rally. What does that have to do with anything? Are they capable of doing the job, right? And I think that's what we got to get away from, and that is the issue. You know, they come to the black community. If our votes didn't count, why do they come to the black community trying to flatter us? Why are they paying leaders to try and misguide us? I think that it is really sad that, you know, hey, when these people get into office, we don't hear from them, see them, not unless they're on TV acting a damn fool. And then, you know, when it's time for a vote, they come to our communities and they ask us, you know, for our vote, or we vote them in and we don't see them. And then after 4 years, they come back, which is an insult. We start seeing them in churches and stuff because they want to finagle you out of your vote again. And it's time for our communities that's in any city, any state, to stop being played and holding people to the fire. Okay, holding their feet to the fire. We can't have sold out politicians, and that is what the problem is. Because when, you know, all you got to do is look and see who is supporting their campaign. Unfortunately for us, and we start pulling records and we go, well, you know, ain't nobody really, you know, supported Tamara's campaign. Ain't they ain't even give her no money. We ain't gonna vote for her. No, that would be the person that you vote for. She ain't sold out to nobody. She don't owe nobody and can get in there and do what is necessary because she is not bought and paid for, right? I think we got to change our mindsets too, because we kind of give people the gasoline and the matches to keep setting us on fire, and our community keeps getting messed over. Our community has been in a state of emergency for a very long time as it relates to poverty and all of those things, and that's all the way across the board in all 50 states. Okay, you don't necessarily see people in other communities. Black people, I don't understand what's going on. We've gone, our ancestors have gone through the most, we've endured the most, and we see um, Black politicians whose ancestors have gone through the same thing can get into, not all Black politicians, can get into an office because they want the position so bad that they're willing to do anything to get in there. That means you're not there for the people. If you're willing to do anything, okay, okay, I know I'm gonna owe this person. You don't need to owe nobody when you get into a seat except for the people that voted for you. You're supposed to be able to get in there with a clear conscience and do a job. Okay. It's so unfortunate that that is not what is happening. Okay. And so, but this is what is holding us back. Sold out politicians. You know, my dad used to always say, okay, a black politician that has sold out can do way more damage than any racist white man or white woman or Hispanic racist Hispanic man, because you don't have to just be white to be racist. As a matter of fact, you can be, it's a lot of black racist folks that are racist against their very own community. I don't know how they're gonna be racist. I'll say maybe prejudice, they prejudge, okay, against their very own community. But you know, that's a mental illness right there. Okay. Um, but my dad used to say they can do way more damage because they can be bought and paid for. They got the people behind them with the money to put them into the position, and they can do things to their very own community that a person of another race can't do without having sanctions and stuff brought against them. Okay. And we can't look at them and say, well, they're racist. So they learn to put a black face in the place. Okay. And it's got to be a sickness and a mental illness for a person whose ancestors have gone through the same thing as our ancestors have to get into a position and be bought and paid for. Hey, I'm for being equal all the way across the board, but I'm definitely not getting into a position where I know, especially my community is hurting. Because see, I can speak from a standpoint of my community and not use the race card and say, hey, this is not right. This is not equal. This is not equal. This is the problem. But people get into office, the people put them into office and they get a seat at the table and scared to say anything. They in a position and scared to step on toes. No, I'm standing up on my soapbox. This is the problem. Okay. And there has to be equality, right? That's the problem. Scary good black folks and no good black folks because there are majority black politicians in Memphis. And people want to talk about Paul Young. Well, let me jump up on my soapbox. Okay. Paul Young is not a problem. Paul Young is a good person. I see where Paul Young see when people have knives in your back, and that's unfortunate in our community. It's a lot of good black folks that wanted that position, and that young black man got it. I think he's got the heart. There's plenty of opportunity. I'm gonna get with Paul Young, okay, out there. And he's not hiding them, okay. But I think he's distributing it made it available for everybody and not just a clique of people. And what black folks will do, unfortunately, they will try and make you look bad when their group of folks ain't getting it no more exclusively. And I think that Paul Young has quietly started making sure that things are available. It ain't his fault that if they put it out there, you don't have to we're gonna have to start reading things. Okay. I knew that there would be a lot of opportunity because before he ever even got into office, long before he ever even thought about running for office, that's what his family did. They helped people to get government jobs. Okay. It ain't nothing changed other than he is the top person. And there's a lot of good Negroes that want that position and they got their knives in his back and they're making that man look bad. And so we got to rise above that. I've always said the very person that they throw knives at, okay, and they start trying to make look bad, though that's when you need to look at things from another standpoint. Okay, why are they trying to make this person look bad? What are they? Because it's been real bad. Okay, what are they doing that's differently? Because they didn't try to make the one before him look bad or the one before him look bad, and we know they did a shit job. So why now? Evidently, they're doing something different and they're kind of slowly bucking against a system where it has been like a buddy system where only certain people were getting monies. I ain't mad about Trump sending the National Guard in Memphis. You know why? Crime pays. And so where there's high crime, there are federal dollars that comes into that city. Those federal dollars are supposed to be distributed through from your council, your commissioners, your government throughout these neighborhoods. Usually the urban neighborhoods are the ones that get the most crime. Well, what are they doing? Well, I'm gonna give it to this nonprofit organization, and they gonna do this, this, and that. Who owns the nonprofit organization? Probably a family member. Okay, which means ain't no money really. They'll do a little something, but the your leader is getting their palm greased. That's how they're able to steal money, right? So I didn't have no issues with Trump saying, "Well, we're not gonna send federal dollars. We're just gonna send in the National Guard because ain't a damn thing happening. We sending in millions of dollars. Black folks still getting killed. Black folks still suffering. I'd rather see the National Guard out there than to see these black men and women constantly getting gunned down. You didn't hear a lot of the politicians in Memphis screaming on every rooftop other than the mayor and the police chief. When that was happening, you saw your Congress, your representatives, your council, your commission, they were quiet. But then they got the nerve and the audacity to say, we want the federal dollars. Hell, what was you doing with the federal dollars that was coming up in there? They fought for that and he wouldn't give it to them. Now we're going to just send it, we're going to pay for the National Guard to come in. And it did restore some order. Okay. I can't tell you how, because I had stopped seeing the good white folks running early in the morning over by the river. Now when I go to sleep at night, I just peeks out the window. It's always um a couple cars sitting out there. They got plain cars and everything, them SUVs and stuff. They sitting out there all night long. And you see the good white folks and the good black folks and the good, because it's more Indian doctors, okay, down here. You see them that when they get off of their shift, they running, and the state troopers right out there. When you pay to live, I don't care what neighborhood you live in, you're supposed to be safe. But they didn't consider it an urgency because they've risen above the hoods, even though they grew up in the hoods. Their families, now they have risen above that. They don't give a damn about the people that suffer. They don't care about these black boys killing each other. Poverty ignites crime. Okay. And so you got the DA's office, and I don't have no issues with Steve. I know what I know. But unfortunately, Steve is hiring a lot of, and you have a lot of law school students. They start off with the DA's office or the public defender's office. And but I don't think that they're being trained, because you got a lot of new prosecutors that, hey, there are people, and I've worked on both sides, okay, that before I started working with the feds, but that are sitting down there in a jail that's innocent and there's proof of it, okay? There's proof of it. And rather than reverse it, they're saying, no, this person was coerced, even when there's a history of the young girl lying about being RAPED because there's a mental illness. When you got the family of the young girl coming forward saying, listen, we had to think about this. She changed her story after 2 years, and we asked her again because there had been a repetitive history. Well, when you get in trouble, you cut school. What happened? Well, they put a gun in my, they raped me. There's a history of it. History of going in and out of the mental institution. And now you got a young man that's sitting in jail, and the person has recanted their story. I was wrong. I was doing something else. I cut school. And when they went out, and I ran to the back of the school because they was looking for me, when I fell out and started crying. I knew I was gonna get in trouble, and they asked me what was wrong. Why was I laying out in the back of the schoolyard crying? Well, the only thing I could think of was my cousin raped me. So instead of being in trouble, it brought sympathy. And guess what? The police went in and arrested the cousin. Cousin been sitting in jail 2 years. So there has been a repetitive history of falsely accusing people. Now the story has been recanted, even though there was no evidence. The police said that there was no evidence, but because it was a minor child, they had to arrest him. Okay. A person recanting their story, telling everything. There has been records pulled of how many false accusations against other people. And you got the prosecutor's office saying, y'all coerced her into saying, taking that back, even though there has been false accusations against numerous of people. Okay. This is the type of stuff that we're dealing with now. And I think it's so sad. Hey, our city, I'm sorry, I got a cold, is in a state of emergency. And it's because, and I'm not saying anything against Steve, because Steve is a nice guy. Okay. I believe Steve got in over his head a little. because Steve had never worked in the courts. He always, when he became a lawyer, he immediately started working for the law school. It's different within the court system. I went and sat in and I love I could say I love Judge Mitchell. I love her. She's a good person. Okay, Jennifer, she's a great person. Community orientated. She's just a wonderful person. And so sometimes I go and I sit in her courtroom, okay, especially since I've been and getting my law degree. And but I actually had a case up in there the other day, but I go sit in there and it's amazing how many people, okay, how many young black men come through there and they're repeat offenders. And people were getting all this money. They're talking about rehabilitation. What are they rehabilitating? Because some of these folks ain't got nothing to rehabilitate. They've never been habilitated in the right way. They didn't grow up in households where they were taught nothing. So what are we rehabilitating? That's why they keep failing, because they don't have a foundation to revert back to. If they was really doing what they were supposed to do with those federal dollars, when they talking about rehabilitating, they would understand that it was never anything there. You got to build something there. Okay. And so we got to vote differently this time. Okay. We got to vote differently. We got to vote for the person, not only with the passion, but with the abilities. Okay. I ain't a part of no buddy systems. I just take care of business. Okay. That's what I believe in doing. And I'm going to be free. Ain't nobody going to own me. I'm going to take care of business. Right? That's how my daddy did it. That's how my dad did it. And I know that you can do it because my dad had all of the odds against him. Let me tell you what my dad did. And I love that man so much. I get to thinking about him. I miss him so much. It's going on 3.5 years since I talked to him. Or 3 years since he been dead. He slipped into a coma, so maybe almost 3.5 years. And when my dad started running for office, my dad built a momentum because of his sincerity. People wanted something different. And there was a man in office. And when my dad started building momentum with the people, the man took a meeting with my father. And he told my dad, he said, Rick, now once he saw that my dad had started getting a lot of people behind him, because at first he thought he was just a little nigga that, just making a lot of noise. But now he's built momentum. These are the people that could get me out of office. So we're gonna take a meeting with Rick. And so my dad said that guy, he was a white guy, called him into his office and said, Rick, now this right here now is going too far. What do I need to do to make this right? My dad said, oh, okay. I knew at that point, all right, now he talking. My dad didn't get to the table and say, well, y'all need to grease my palms. Well, let's talk about this. I got a daughter. Maybe, you can give her a contract. Maybe this, my dad didn't do that. He was an honorable man. Very firm. Everybody call him a strategist and a fierce leader. Unbought and unbossed. And my dad said, he told him, what I would want for you all to do, because he was a very unselfish man, truly for the people. This office has been, you've hired nothing but white people in these leadership positions. Hire a black person up in here to work beside you as one of your assistants, because that would understand the black people that vote for you. He said that white man looked at him and said, oh no, I can't do that. Oh no, I can't do that. I can't do that. He said he just kept saying, no, we can't do that. No, I can't do that. And my dad said, He said he act like I had told him to go and do something to one of his family members. He said he was just that strong, and I can't bring no black people up in my office to work up in here. Y'all, that's what we dealing with. It ain't nothing changed. It just got cuckabug kids that's doing the deed now, which is really is more shameful. And my dad said he looked at that white guy and said, "Well, then you won't be reelected." My dad said he went and he started making flyers. And when it came time for election, he was giving out, he stood at the door, outside the door. He got a little team and he was giving out the flyers of his opponent. And his opponent won 3-1, beat him when he had been there and was comfortable in doing what he was doing. The people got to open their eyes. Okay. After that person got in there, my dad said, we got a black person in there, and they were so mad. That's why when you have gotten into places and people are mad because they have kept us out, you got to keep your nose clean. He got in there and he started, hey, it's always been a woman to take a man down now. And they weren't able to get him, according to, I believe it was either that or they said he stole something like $300. Now, what is $300? He misappropriated the other guy, and they was because they was always looking for something. $300, according to, they was operating millions of dollars. You said this man was stealing because it was 300 something dollars missing, and they was able to throw that man out and tried to and gave the once you throw a person out, that system can appoint a person who they want until another election. And that's what happened. And that's when the people started telling my dad, Rick, you run, and I promise you, you're going to win. Okay. Because they felt like we put one of our people, who's another white guy, in place. When they run, when the election comes, because if they want their position, they'll do any kind of scandal, lie on you to try to get you up out of there. That's why you got to stand behind the people that's for you, that's fighting for you. And you can't be bought out for a cheese sandwich. That's what happens in our community. We allow them to dog walk good leaders for a fruit basket. They'll come and bribe you with a few back. Well, Tamara had thought she was something anyway. She be wearing them heels, eating the apple, like the guy from Pretty Tony was eating that apple, and he was talking about Squeaky. So we have to, we can't do that, right? And that's how my dad won. My dad fought so hard. My dad turned down so many raises. And I asked him one time, I said, Dad, they were offering you like a $30,000 raise. Why you turn it down? He said he fought against it. He fought against his raise. I said, why you do that? He said, because it would have hurt the people. They was trying to give me a raise. They thought that would make me be quiet. They $30,000 raise. He said, I fought against it. I wouldn't take it because it would have hurt the people. Okay. They want to contract out all of the jobs to their sons and daughters and all of that. Whereas you got people within the city of Memphis that could be getting these good jobs. I love that man so much. I come from that. That's why when they've gotten on here and they've tried to break me, it's just people go, I would have been left. Right. Like now I've gotten smarter. When I started working over there for the feds, and I have this attorney that's always um, in the chat. And I remember she told me, she said, girl, don't you know that it's a law for everything? You went through that. She said, the police don't really know the laws. That's why people win when they get attorneys. And she started schooling me on a lot of stuff. And since I've been into, into my law classes, they've really been motivating me. It's a law for everything. You ain't got to be mistreated. Folks, you don't have to let people commit offenses against you. It's laws against everything. Okay. So while you're investing in some shoes that ain't gonna do you no good, start putting money aside for when you need you a good lawyer. Okay, because they're gonna bring you some peace, right? But that's what's going on. And that's what's holding our community back. We ain't voting right. Even people that might have not cared for my dad, because he was straight to the point. People don't like leaders, they'll become jealous of them too now, even when they're doing what they're supposed to do for them. Or they'll go get themselves in trouble and do something that they're not supposed to do and mad when a leader can't get them out of it. How about, just staying out of trouble? You want people to work miracles for you when you didn't do what you were supposed to do for yourself. Who gonna listen when you're wrong, right? So that's what's going on. And the elections are heating up, okay? And I'm just sitting back looking, okay? I'm sitting back looking. I'm sitting back thinking. But I do know there needs to be a change, and we got to see new faces in every place. We need new faces in every position out there. Not people playing musical chairs where they was the city council. Now they going to the county commission. And well, I know their face, but they didn't do a damn thing when they was at the city council. What do you mean? We gotta stop doing that. They ain't did nothing and they ain't going back. I don't care how likable they are, how pastor like them. That's between pastor. He go vote for them, not me. Okay, we got to start doing better by that and supporting those people that's gonna fight for us. And when when they're really fighting for you, they start trying to bring charges against them. A lot of black people shoot themselves in the foot by letting that racist system go against somebody, falsely accuse somebody, and getting behind that racist system that's proactive in the black community. They're not gonna mess with them unless they are proactive. If they doing what they want them to do, it ain't gonna be no charges or no scandals brought against them. You better pay attention, okay? But look, I love you all. I gotta get ready to get out of here. I gotta take my shower. I gotta smell like my banana pie today. My Canvas Beauty, my banana pie. So I can't wait to get in the shower. Anyways, you guys, I want you guys to please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to support the channel, you could definitely support the channel via Cash App.